Welcome everybody to our Green Acres. Today's video is going to be a compilation edition of over 50 of the best fall and autumn projects I did last year. Lots of home decor ideas all in one video. So sit back, enjoy the video, and I hope you get lots of inspiration and ideas for your home for the upcoming fall season. Okay, y'all, let's get started and make some really cute pumpkins. Now, I love to make pumpkins, and I make pumpkins every year in my videos, but my favorite way is just trace around something that's round, and I'm just using a baking pan, but you can use whatever you have, a pizza pan, and just use whatever fabric you want. I'm actually using drop cloth, but what we're going to do is once you get your circle laid out, then you'll want to just go around, and we're going to add some graphics to this piece of fabric. And I'm just taking some stencils that I have, but you can use any kind of stencils you want to, or you could even use stamps. But like I say, I'm just using what I already have, and most of these stencils that I'm using, they are all linked to my Amazon store. So where I had just some plain fabric left, I just kind of went in, just got creative. I put a couple of crayons on it, and then I used that cute little grains stencil. Now that one is a Waverly one, and you can get it at Walmart. And I made another little pumpkin fabric, and then I used some smaller stencils on it. And like I say, most of these will be linked to my Amazon store. Now this is a Jamie Ray vintage stencil. This is a really good one if you want to do more of a rustic farmhouse type pumpkin. And you can always get Jamie Ray vintage products from my friend Jackie at Ruth and Ruby. So I'll have her information down below. Now for the bigger pumpkins, I just it's less stressful for me if I just gather my pumpkin at the top and just put filler in as I go, and I gather. Now I just gather and I just kind of shape it and add the filler as I go, and then you'll want to take a rubber band. In my case, I'm using a ponytail holder. That's what I had on hand, and just gather it around the top and and fluff out your top. Now I want to show you some different ways of how we can embellish and make stems. You can also use railroad ties. Now y'all, we just found these on our property outside, but they make great pumpkin stems. Now I've showed this in a previous video of how you can take empty toilet paper rolls and just use those for the base of your pumpkin. Just wrap your filler around it, and then you've got a nice little hole that you can work your fabric down into. For smaller pumpkins, to me, this works really well. You can also use some hot glue if you want to hot glue your filler onto your toilet paper holder. But mine, I'm just going to freehand it, and just like I say, you just go around, you shape it, add your filler as you go, gather it, and then just stick it down into that little slot of the toilet paper holder. And this works really well too. Now this is a lamp finial. I use this a lot of times to embellish my pumpkins for stems. It's just, just get creative with it. There's so many things that you can use. Now I'm just going to tie a little piece of cotton fabric that I have around just to give it a little ribbon. And now we've got just a real cute little pumpkin that was really fun to make. And there's another one that I made, and it was a larger one, so I just gathered it around the top. But I like the little fluffy tops. To me, that just adds a little bit more, detail and texture to it. Now again, I'm just wrapping some fabric and some twine around this one, and then this one is done. Now another way that I like to embellish for pumpkin stems is silverware. I did this last year in a video, and I think they make really pretty stems. You can also get creative and use wine corks. This is one that I purchased at an antique store a few years ago, and I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I made that pumpkin last year, and I will try to find the video to it and link it down below of how I made this pumpkin. And I just added some bows and some tails to it. And like I say, making pumpkins is so much fun. Now take house numbers. I did that 5 in a previous video, but you can really, if you can find some house numbers inexpensive, pick those up, because the numbers always really add, a great little embellishment. Now in a previous video I showed y'all, I picked up this scrapbook for 59 cents at Goodwill, and it has some great patina on the sheets. You can tell this little scrapbook is very old, and you can see that the pages have aged well, and they're perfect just the way they are. I won't have to do anything to them. And I showed y'all in my previous video of how you can just take some random stamps, whatever kind of stamps you have, and just stamp, you know, on this paper. And then I'm just going to use this, and I'm going to show y'all how we can make some really cute little, you know, just some little tags that we can embellish on our pumpkins also. So this paper right here is very old and fragile, so it rips really good. But I just ripped out, you know, the stamp that I made, and then I'm going to take some Dollar Tree tags, and I'm just going to use some school glue, and you just want to apply, you know, your paper on top of it. Once it dries, you can go around the edges with a sanding block and just sand away that excess paper, and you've got a really smooth edge to your tags. Now these make great little embellishments to tie on your pumpkins, and it adds just a little unique flair to them. Now where the hole was, I just got a pencil, and you just go back in and, you know, and punch it back out. Now we got some great embellished pumpkins. We got some really unique stems, and we also got some really unique embellishments for them. The next item I want to show you is another find that I found at Goodwill, and it is this little concrete planner. Now I love the shape of it, and I love the little rustic detail to it. You can see it was purchased at Walmart, but I got it for $1.99, and I think I even got it half off. I was going to paint it white, but once I got to looking at it, it had some distressing on it, so I went with that, and I sanded it down a little bit more to give it more distressing. I'm taking the stencil that I have, and that package of stencils is linked to my Amazon store. I just stenciled pumpkin on it. Now I'm about to show you another little detail that we can do that will add great little detail to all of our fall decor, and I'll stage a little planner for you more. But take those Dollar Tree Hula skirts, don't pack those up yet. Take your Hula skirt and soak it in some leftover coffee or some tea, and just get it in there. And now it looks like, you know, that skirt is not going to fit in that little container, but it did. I got it all wadded up. I got it soaked really well. And then you just want to squeeze out, you know, as much of the liquid as you can. And it was a hot summer day here in Alabama, so I just hung it out on my front porch on the deck, and I let it air dry in the sun. And once it air dried, now we've got more of a vintage rustic look to the Hula skirt, you know, for $1.25. Now we've got some great rustic raffia now to put in our fall centerpieces. The next project is going to be a pallet wood scrap wood sign. Y'all know I love to use scrap wood, and I love to make signs, and I make them a lot of times for my home. But I'm just going to secure 3 pieces of pallet wood with some popsicle sticks on the back using some wood glue. I let that dry really good, and that's all I do. Now I'm using this stencil, and like I say, this is in that package that I showed in a previous project, and it's in my Amazon store. I'm just going to say hello fall on this one, and I'm going to add some beautiful sunflowers. Now this is Iron Orchid Design. This is in one of their transfer books, and I'll make sure to link which book these beautiful sunflowers are in. These I've used on several projects, so I only have a few of these left, but what I do have left, I'm going to add them to my pallet wood sign. Now these sunflowers right here have so much detail to them. They're absolutely beautiful. They look real. So I'm just going around and I'm placing them, you know, on each side of my sign, and I'm adding stems as I go, and then I'll go in and kind of fill in where I may have, you know, I may need a little bit more filler. they give you tons of leaves. So I'm just going to go in and at random and add some leaves where I feel like, you know, it needs a little bit of filler. Then I'm going to go over and work over on the other side because I ended up having 4 sunflowers left over. So this just really, you know, gave me a great way to use them. And y'all, sunflowers are one of my favorite flowers. So this sign right here, I know I'm going to enjoy for, you know, using it in my fall decor this season.
So small, watch the clock ticking off the wall, but tonight I'm letting it go. Spend my coin for sure. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so try not to hold me down.
Okay, the next project we're going to use a frame, and y'all know I love upcycling frames. There's so many things you can do with them. I picked this one up at a yard sale and only paid $2 for it. Now I've had this in my supplies for a while because it's such a large frame, so I'm going to make a piece of wall decor for my home using a beautiful transfer. This one will be linked to my Amazon store and it will be under the transfer category, but it's called Fresh Flowers. Now it's not all going to fit in my frame, but also I used my poster board from Dollar Tree and I had to piece a couple of pieces together using some tape, and then I also went around it and hot glued on a piece of drop cloth. You pull it really tight and get it really smooth on the front, and that will be your background. Now I'm just taking part of the transfer, the wording, the fresh flowers at the bottom did not fit, so I'm just going to put the little pickup truck with the beautiful flowers and the fall scene. That's what I'm going to put on my drop cloth and put in my frame. Now this transfer looks like it would be hard to transfer because it's so big, but it's all in one piece, so it goes on actually a lot easier than it looks. Now I'm just going to take a piece of that white backing, that clear backing, I'm just going to go over and I'm going to burnish it on the drop cloth really well. This transfer right here, y'all, is absolutely beautiful and it is so detailed. I absolutely love it. Now to put the second section on, they have grid lines on it, so it's really easy to line it up and get it really straight. So I'm just going to lay it down, and again I'm just going to go over it with a little scraper tool, and you just scrape it on and it's that easy. And now we've got a beautiful piece that we can display in our fall decor. Once I got the transfer on, I got it burnished on really well, then all I'm going to have to do now is just put it back in my frame. Now I went back and forth on my frame. I thought I wanted to paint it white, but white just kind of washed it out. So I went over the frame. It was already black, but I did go over it with a couple of coats of black chalk paint, and that way it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of made it look a little bit better with some fresh paint.
Nothing can break me, no, nothing can break me.
Okay, now I'm going to show y'all a really easy project, and we're going to use these Dollar Tree burlap leaves. Now they offer these just about every year, and I pick them up every year. But just to give them a little bit more detail, I'm just going to show y'all some ways of how you can have some fun with them and add some stencils to them. You could also get your transfers out, you could get your stamps out, but just go around your leaves, use whatever color paint you want. I did some, that dark burlap, I did some white, and on the lighter colored, khaki colored leaves, I did some black ink. This was such a fun project, and if you're not into shabby chic, you can always do more of a farmhouse style. And this right here was a transfer out of the traditional pots transfer book. So I'm just showing you ideas and inspiration. If you have like I say, if you have your transfers, your stamps, this right here is a Jamie Ray vintage stencil, and my friend Jackie at Ruth and Ruby, she sells these. But the majority of the rest of these stencils I use, these will be linked in my Amazon store. So like I say, just go through what you have and just have fun with your leaves, and it just adds just another little level of, of detail to them.
Nothing's complicated with you. Hey, playing songs on the radio, sing along to the words that we don't know how.
Now, y'all know it wouldn't be fall if we didn't pull out the orange Carveable Dollar Tree pumpkin. But y'all ran across this one at Goodwill for 59 cents. And I also have these that I got at Dollar Tree, and I've had these a couple of years. These make good little pumpkins to do little DIY projects with. But as you know, you paint the little orange ones just so your orange don't bleed through. We usually paint it white. And then I'm going to use some stained flour sackcloth. I usually stain mine in coffee, but tea will work too. But you just stain, a lot of times people use muslin. This is kind of the same thing, but it's thin and it works really well. So that's what we're going to do. You want to work that hole in the center of your pumpkin to where you've got enough hole to poke your fabric down in it, but you want where it'll keep it tight also. So I just work mine down there with a screwdriver and just kind of shape it and smooth it as you go. Now I'm going to show you a fun way that I love to make pumpkin stems. You just want to take some aluminum foil, and I did a video on this last year, so I'm just kind of giving you a little abbreviated tutorial on this because I've already done, a video on this, and I'll have a fall playlist down in my description box of all of my videos from last year. But you just want to form your pumpkin stem with your foil, and you can bend it. It works really well, and you make it as long and big as you want it. You could even put another layer of foil on there if you wanted a thicker pumpkin stem, and then I'm just going around it with strips of the stained flour sackcloth, and you just hot glue where you need to. And then when I get to the end, you want the end just to kind of look a little tattered and torn, and that is as easy as that to make your own little rustic pumpkin stems. Now this is one I made last year. This is the one that I had in the tutorial. It's a little bit longer, so I'm going to attach it to the bigger pumpkin. Now I'm going to show you a cute little embellishment. And I told y'all, I always have transfer scraps laying around, and I'm trying to use what I have because if not, they get damaged. Then y'all know I love French wording, so just take some of your ripped flour sackcloth and you just put some transfers on it. And just make them long enough, and you can tie these around the stems or your pumpkins, or you can make some that are more like a patch. You just rip your fabric, you can put flowers on them. You can even get your stamps out and put some stamps on them and just make some little patches that you can stick on your pumpkins, or like I say, you can just make some that are long enough and you can tie them around your stems. But it adds just another little layer of detail to your pumpkins and just makes them look a little bit more French country and a little bit more shabby chic. Another decor piece that I want to show y'all that's very budget friendly is, and if you are like us and you love apple juice, buy a huge apple juice jar at Walmart. Then you can have the really pretty jar. This is embellished with some leaves across the top, and all I did was I poured the apple juice out of it. I put it in a pitcher in the refrigerator and we can enjoy the juice. Now we've got a beautiful jar that we can embellish for the fall. Now for the sticker come off actually very well. I just put it in some soapy water, and then I use that little razor blade that I just got from Amazon, and I'll have it linked to my store, and it took the sticker right off. Now this is some really pretty faux pampas grass stems that I just purchased from Amazon. These will be linked in my store, and these work perfect in this little apple juice jar. So this little, apple juice jar, not only did we get to enjoy the apple cider or apple juice that was in it, it's very affordable, and now we got a great container to decorate for fall and, for all the seasons. Now I'm going to show y'all how we can make some really cute little sunflower flowers. All you're going to need is some canning jar lids. You're going to need some flats, and I'm going to use the large jar rings and a small flat. So, but you just wanted to rip some fabric, and I did, mine were probably about 12 inches long, and I probably did between 30 to 40. So I'm going to go around and time around one of the large cannon rings. So it took, like I say, between 30 and 40. So you just want to go around and you want to time in a knot, and you want to tie the knot on the top of the jar lid. Like if you put this on top of a jar, this will be the top, because you want that lip part to be on the bottom. So you just want to go around with your strips of fabric, and I'm using coffee stained flour sack cloth. It's a real thin like muslin, but I'm also going to show you how I made one out of some drop cloth strips. This went really fast, so this is a really quick and easy project. So if you want something, maybe if you're a reseller and you need some quick little unique, items to sell in your booth, this I think would be a great project. Now, once you get the whole jar lid covered with your strips of fabric, now you want to go around and we want to trim it up, because we want it to look like a flower, or a sunflower. So I just went around, and if I had some that were a little bit too long, I just went in and I just trimmed them up so they were even. You can cut them as short as you want to. Now I'm going to take some pillow filling, and this is just from an old pillow, and I'm taking one of the smaller canning flats, and you want to put your padding on it. Now you want to make it as fluffy, as you want, because this is going to be the center of our flower, and we want it to kind of stand out and be kind of puffy. Now I'm going around a piece of burlap that I have, and you just want to cut it the size that'll go around your flat. Now you're going to want to put it in the back so it'll come through the front, and then we're going to attach it with a little bit of hot glue. I just went around the rim and put a little hot glue in some places, so when I put it back in, it'll stay secure, and it makes just a little puffy center, so that'll be the center of our sunflower. Now you can use any kind of fabric, combinations that you want to for your sunflower. You could do yellow fabric around the outside for your petals, and then for your center, of course, you could use more of a brown or a black center. So get creative with this, because like I say, there's so many color variations that you could do if you wanted, to make several of these. Now I'm going to show you how if you're reselling it, for sure, you want the back to be pretty, just use the pattern of your lid and just cut out just a piece of burlap and just glue that on, and that way your back is pretty. Now I'm just going to attach a little twine hanger to the back of it with some hot glue, and I'm just going to use this and hang them up. Now you can see the one that I made with the drop cloth, and like I say, these just took a few minutes to make, and I think these turned out so pretty. Okay, the next project is going to be a project that I did in last week's video, and I'll have a link to it down below and also at the end of this video if you want to click on it and watch it. But I showed y'all how to make a sweater pumpkin candle holder where you can just put a taper candle down in it that runs off a remote control. Well, I'm going to take the candle out of it and give you another idea of another thing we can do with these little sweater pumpkins. I ordered these from Hobby Lobby. I actually mail ordered them, so they were delivered directly to my doorstep. I got 3 of them. They were $1.99 each. And then I just went in, I trimmed them down some on the stems, bent them up, and just add those to the top of your pumpkin, and it makes a great little pumpkin stem embellishment. Now I think this would be pretty to set this out, of course, through fall season, and also this would carry you through to make really pretty centerpieces for your Thanksgiving dinner table. My favorite thing about the fall season, y'all, is pumpkins. I love pumpkins, and I love, doing pumpkin projects. I'm just going to take some very inexpensive, these were some Dollar Tree pumpkin picks. I took the stems off of them, and then I went out to the graphics fairy, and I printed out a sheet of some vintage French labels. Now these are small, so these will fit perfectly on the pumpkin. I soaked them in some coffee just to give them a little bit more of a aged look. But look what a difference staining it in that coffee made. You can also use tea. If you're a tea drinker, tea will also work. Now I'm going over it with a little bit of cinnamon. Cinnamon will give it more of that little aged, more of a rusty look. So I'm just taking some dry cinnamon. I'm just rubbing it over with my fingers, and I'm just working it, just to get it more of an aged look. Now once you get them the way you want them, then we're just going to take them and we're just going to apply them to the front of the pumpkins. Now you can use Mod Podge for this. You can use spray adhesive. You may could use a glue stick, but I'm using DIY liquid patina to apply mine. And you'll want to work them in those little grooves of the pumpkin the best you can, and work out any of the wrinkles as best you can. Now I'm just going over it with my paintbrush, just using the end of it. Sometimes that'll help. And I added some really pretty little glass knobs to the top for the stems, and now I think we got some really cute little French country, little shabby chic pumpkins, and they were from the Dollar Tree. Now the next project is going to be another really easy one and very inexpensive. Just pick up one of these little jack-o'-lanterns. They have these. I just saw these at Walmart. I think they were now $1.97. I chalk painted it white, and you can paint yours any color that you want. But I think if you got several of these, painted them, these would make great centerpieces for your table. Now my little pumpkin, it was given to me by a friend last year, and it's got a little dent in it. I tried to get that out, but I couldn't. So hopefully your pumpkin will not have a dent in the front. But I'm just going to add an IOD transfer. Now you can put a stencil on it, or something like that. But since it was curved and had those ridges, I went with a transfer because I felt like the transfer would go on easier for me. Now I'm just going to give you some styling ideas of how you can take just an inexpensive little jack-o'-lantern, and you can just turn it into something that would be a beautiful fall centerpiece for your home. Now I'm going to show you another piece of scrap wood that I have, and I'm going to introduce you to another mesh stencil I've just received. This is just a piece of wood that we've had left over from home renovations. I think it's a piece off of our stair risers, and these make great pedestal risers. And all we're going to do is I'm going to do the same method. I just went over it with my brown craft paint that I added some water to, and then I added my candle wax, and with my great little Klingon brush. And like I say, I'm going to have this brush linked below for you if you're interested in going out and getting a really good paintbrush. And they come in different sizes. And then I just go over it with my plastic scraper. I distress it really well. And then just to give it a little bit more distressing and to smooth out, my paint. And it had some rough spots in the center of the wood. So I went over it with a sanding block just to bring that out. So once I got my wood distressed the way that I wanted it, now I'm going to apply a really cute little fall stencil. And this one is called the Pumpkin Company. And it's got several different designs on a sheet. This is just the top part of the stencil. But I cut this part of the stencil off, and I thought it fit perfectly on my little pedestal riser that I'm working on. So I'm just going to apply this, and again I just went over it really good with my scraper just to make sure it was adhered to my board really well. And again, I'm using Waverly ink chalk paint, but like I say, they say you can use whatever kind of paint you want. Now I'm just going around and I'm just scraping it on, but like I say, you can also use a foam sponge brush, and I did a previous video last week where I did some projects and I used the little foam brush, and it worked really well. I did have a few spots on this one where I did have some bleed through, but I did go in and I just got my white paint and I just kind of touched those up. Now I'm going to take these finial feet. I get these at Lowe's. They come 2 to a pack. And a lot of my viewers say they go out and try to find these, and I agree with them. Sometimes they're hard to find at Lowe's, and not all the Lowe's have these. But Hobby Lobby does sell a similar product, so always check at Hobby Lobby in the hardware aisle. And if you go when it's half off day for those items, you can get these very inexpensive. Now, these were already painted white from a previous project, but now I'm just showing you how you can apply these feet to the bottom of this board, and we can have a really pretty little pedestal riser for the fall season. Now I want to show you how I made some really pretty beaded garland to display with my pedestal tray. You can take some wood beads. These came from the Dollar Tree, but I also have some linked in my Amazon store, and I think they are a better value, and they come in 3 different sizes. So I just took a variety of sizes that I had. I just went over them again with some watered down craft paint. I just set them up, let them dry. Now, I got this hemp string from Walmart in the craft section, and I think it was around $3.50. So I'm just going to, take a large needle, and I also get this at Walmart in the sewing section. But I'm just going to string on my beads, and about every 9 medium-sized bead, I'm going to put a large one on, because I only had 5 large ones, but like I say, I did want to add them to this just to make it look a little chunkier. So about every 9 medium beads, I put on one of those really large ones. So I just kept going and you can make your garland as small or as large as you want. I just kind of went with how many beads that I had and how many I had stained, but I'm just going to thread them on until I get the desired length that I want. Now, once I got it all finished, and you can see how varied the color of the stain is. Some of it I watered down more, and some of it I watered down less. But if you want yours the same color, just go with it. Water down, the same consistency. Now I just took that hemp cord off that little card. I'm going to make a tassel. I'm just going to let them do the work for me. I just took it off that little card. It was already looped around, and I just tied it at the top really tight, and then I'm just going to cut across the bottom, and we're just going to make a cute little tassel out of that hemp cord. And this will be very inexpensive, and like I say, they did the work for us. They already looped it. So now I'm just going to go across the bottom, give it a really good little haircut, and then I'm going to take a comb, and I'm just going to go out and comb it and give it some frayed edges and make it fluff out a little bit more. And I did this on both sides. Now, once you get it, frayed, make sure you trim it up again really good if you need to. Then I'm going to take another piece of the hemp string, and I'm going to tie a loop across the top of it to form my tassel. And the tassel is that easy. Once you get your tassel made, then you want to secure your string around the top, and I just wrapped mine around a couple of times, and then I just tied it really good in a knot. And you can also add a little hot glue to the back of it just to secure it a little bit better if you want to. Now I'm just went in, I trimmed up any little stragglers that I had at the bottom, and look what a pretty little tassel we made, and it was so easy. Now I'm going to make one for the other end, and I'm just going to do the same process. Just remove that hemp string, another section of it off the card, and then I just basically went in, did the same thing. I fluffed it out really good, and now we've got 2 really pretty, real easy tassels now to add to our beaded garland. Now I secured down the little tops to the back using a little bit of hot glue, and then I'll just trim those off. Now to attach them to the garland, I used the big needle again, and I just used some of the excess string that I had at the ends. Make sure to pull your beads, tight, and then I'm just going to go in, I'm going to loop it through the top of that little tassel, and you just want to keep sewing it, going in and out of different areas of the tassel. Just loop it on the best you can and get it on there as secure as you can. And that's all I did. I just kind of looped it around with my needle a couple of times, and then I went through the back and I just kind of tied it off in a knot. I trimmed off any excess that I had, and y'all, it's ready. It is that easy, and look how affordable this little beaded garland was. And I love beaded garlands, especially in the fall season, because I think they add just a great little wood texture element to our vignettes, and also I love the little rustic feel. Now using just a piece of scrap wood and that same Pumpkin Company stencil, I'm going to show you some other ways of how we can make some really easy and quick home decor for fall. The bottom of this stencil has some really cute pumpkins, and it's got some really cute little pumpkin sayings. So I'm just going to take this one pumpkin. It fit perfectly on this little scrap wood that I have, and I'm just going to leave my wood natural. I'm not going to paint it, but I'm just going to show you how easy these are to apply. You just peel it off the backing, make sure it adheres to your base really well, and then just get your sponge brush loaded up with, I use white chalk paint, and you've got a really easy little shelf sitter to set in your fall vignettes. Now I'm going to take another piece of scrap wood. I think this looks like a piece of pallet wood, and I'm going to take this little pumpkin patch. I love this one, and it fit perfectly, like I say, on this piece of scrap wood. So I'm just kind of giving you more options and ideas while I've got these pieces of scrap wood on hand. And like I say, I'm just using my sponge brush with some white chalk paint, and I'm just applying these. And this is just how quick and easy it is to use these mesh stencils. Now I'm going to take a little wood plaque. I think this come from Dollar General over in their craft section, and I think this was like $2 to $3. And I think they also sell these at Walmart. I'm going to use a stencil. This will be linked in my Amazon store in the stencil category. This comes in a pack for all seasons. So I'm just going to take this Hello Pumpkin. I've used this one quite a bit. And while I've got my sponge brush chalked up with some paint, I'm just going to, just throw out some signs and add these to my fall vignette. Now I'm going to show you how we can make some really cute and very inexpensive little donut pumpkins. I'm just going to take some aluminum foil, and this can be purchased at Dollar Tree because the thinner it is, probably the better for your crafts. And anytime you work with aluminum foil, always be careful and do not cut yourself. But I just rolled out some. What we're going to do is make a donut shape, and we just want to form it as we go. And I just tore off some, and then I'm going to make another roll, and I'm out of foil. But I'm going to make this work. This will be all I'll need. But you can make this as wide as you want it. But like I say, we're working toward a donut shape, because what we're going to do is we're going to cover it with fabric, and we're going to make a cute little pumpkin out of it. So once I got it formed, and your center is going to be large. Now if you want your center to be a little bit smaller, do another roll of aluminum foil and fold it up and put it up in there in the center, and that will add some filler to your center. But I'm taking some stained, I coffee stained my flour sack cloth. I just cut it in some strips, and then I'm just going to go around and just add a little bit of hot glue here and there, and I'm going to wrap the little donut. Now you just want to go around and wrap it. And I usually, when I made these, I usually went around and wrapped mine a couple of times just to make it look like, it was full and, it just had enough fabric on it. But you wrap it as many times as you want to. And the more times you wrap it, the more that center will fill up too. But I'm going to show you another one that I'm going to make, and I'll show you another little option for the center. But, I just went around, like I say, I just covered the whole thing with the flower sackcloth, and I just glued it once I started, and I just glued it once at the end. And if you need to trim up any of your ends, just do that. But you're not going to be able to see the center because we're going to add a stem to it. But these made such cute little pumpkins, and these I think would make great little centerpieces to put on your table set. And you could make one of these little pumpkins and put it on your dinner plate and put somebody's, a little name card on it. Just a little special touch. Now that little stem come off, I think, a Dollar Tree pumpkin. I just added it. It fit perfectly in my hole once I got it wrapped. And I just scrunched up a little piece of burlap and ribbon, added a solo wood flower, and that's the way I'm going to embellish this one. But there's so many ways that you can go back and embellish these little pumpkins and get creative with your stems.
But I'm still thinking of you. My heart keeps on bleeding. I have scars, the ones that healing. They're all there because of you. It's my fault, I messed it up, and I should have treated you much better, so much better. I miss you so bad, won't you come back to me? I've got you in my head, you're all that I see. I've lost all my chances, I know that I am too late. I'm thinking of you.
Now I'm going to show you another option on how to make the little donut pumpkin using a washcloth versus the foil. You just want to take an old washcloth that you may have on hand, and you just want to roll it and one side and then on the other side and meet in the middle, and that's all you got to do. And then just form your pumpkin. Now you want to take the ends that are a little bit thinner and just kind of want to make those work in together, and that will add make it wider on that side where those were so thin compared to the other, so it won't be wonky. But anyway, just now add a little bit of hot glue and just start adding your fabric. Now on this one, I'm adding a little bit of drop cloth. Y'all know I always have this on hand, and I thought this would make a really pretty one, so I just cut some strips of drop cloth, and when using a little bit of hot glue as I start and I finish, that's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to wrap this one. I'm going to wrap this one twice. I went back around it just to make sure it looked good and it was full. And I think the more your drop cloth is frayed on the edges, I think the better it looks. It gives it more of a rustic look. Now once you get it all wrapped up, I'm going to show you an option of how to fill up the bottom so we can add some stuff to the center. Just cut out a little circle, add some hot glue, add it to the bottom, and now we got a little base. Now you can add things down in the center of it. Now I have some Spanish moss on hand. I'm going to stick some of that down in there. And one of my sweet viewers, she told me about okra stems, making great pumpkin stems. So we had some dried okra out on our plants this year because our okra didn't do well because of the, not a lot of rain and a lot of sun and hot heat. So I went out and got some of our dried okra stems and just giving you some more ideas and inspiration of how you can embellish and make some really cute little pumpkins.
But I'm still thinking of you. My heart keeps on bleeding. I have scars, the ones that healing. They're all there because of you. It's my fault, I messed it up, and I should have treated you much better, so much better.
Okay, let's make some fall decor. The first thing I want to show y'all are going to be some cute little pumpkins that we can make out of some Bundt pans or these little Bundt forms. My friend Steven at Steven's Antiques, he makes these, so if you're interested in them, he sells them and he ships them, and I'll leave his info below. But I just received some Dixie Belle paint in the color terracotta from my friend Jackie at Ruth and Ruby, and I'll have her information down below if you're interested in getting this paint. It is the perfect color to make pumpkins. I just painted a couple of layers of that on the pumpkins, and then I'm just going to add a little round circle that I cut out of a cardboard box. I think it was a cereal box. I hot glue it to the bottom because I want to be able to fill that center and my stuff not fall through. Now you can also use Bundt pans for this if you can find those at the thrift store or if you have some on hand. Now you can glue them together and make one pumpkin, or you can just do them like this and make two pumpkins, and that's what I'm going to do. Now I'm going to fill the center of each one using some Spanish moss, but you can also use Rafia or whatever you want. You know, you could also put greenery in it. So these make great little centerpieces. And then just get creative with your stems. This is a dried pumpkin stem that come off of a real pumpkin, and then the other one I'm just going to use a stick from my yard. So y'all, just get creative making your little pumpkins, and like I say, these are so easy and so affordable to make, and such a unique and cute pumpkin. Now I want to show you a really easy upcycle, and I'm going to show you a metal tray I got at the yard sale for $3. Y'all, I love metal trays because they usually have really pretty ornate detail. I spray painted it white and I've used it in a previous project, so I'm just going to put something in the center of it to cover up what I'd previously used. I love to recycle my projects over and over again. When I get tired of it one way, I can redo it and use it another way. So to do that, I'm going to just use a piece of really nice quality scrapbook paper that I got at Hobby Lobby. And if you go when it's half off, you can get scrapbook paper for just a few cents sometimes. So I love this one. I got it last year and I never used it, but I love the blacks and the whites with the pumpkins. So I'm just going to, I cut it in a circle, and then I'm just going to apply it in the center using some liquid patina. And to make sure it adheres really good to the base of the tray, I'm just going to roll over it with my brayer. Now just let this dry, and this just makes a really cute little piece that you can set out and display for the fall and the autumn season. And I can always change out the scrapbook paper to match my seasons. Another item that I got actually last year, and I got this at a yard sale, and I think it's a wooden apple, or it kind of looks like a pumpkin, but I never had a chance to recycle it last year. But it is so cute. You can see it's just like a little miniature dough bowl, but I don't know, I probably paid like $1 or less for it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to paint it, and I'm going to use one of these really pretty mesh stencils. Y'all, these are brand new to me. I'm going to leave an affiliate link down below, so if you want to go out and purchase these, I'll have all the information for these in my description box. But y'all, these right here have so many stencils on them, and the way they work is you cut them apart, and they're mesh stencils. So you do not want to use a stencil brush on these, but you want to use more of a scraper type tool or a little sponge brush. Now I got these little rubber scrapers. These will also be in the affiliate link. You can purchase these, and they're very affordable. You get a large one and a small one. And I use just some, black ink chalk paint, and just applied it to the center of the little pumpkin, and now I've got a great little wooden dough bowl that I just chalk painted white and distressed it, and now it is perfect to display all my little miniature pumpkins. Y'all know if you have followed my channel for very long that I love to bring y'all along for budget-friendly decor. But home decor does not have to be expensive, and it can be fun to make. Take a baking sheet, and I pick these up all the time at the thrift store, or if you have one at home, and the rustier and greasy it is, the better. That grease, that little cooked on grease, you don't want it sticky greasy, but you want it to where, you know, you've got some good patina on it. And this one was $2, and a lot of times you can find these a lot cheaper than that. But I love the size of it. So I'm going to take a piece of decoupage paper, and I'll have the decoupage paper link down below. But when you use decoupage paper, you always want your base to be white. So when you apply your decoupage paper, your background will be white, and your paper, your design will show up better. Now this sunflower decoupage paper fit perfect into my baking sheet. I'm only going to have to trim it up just a little bit, but this right here to me just screamed fall. I loved it because I love sunflowers. They are one of my favorite flowers. The first thing I did was I just trimmed that edge off of it because I knew I didn't want to, you know, I wasn't going to be using that. And then I'm just going to trim one side, and just to make it easy on myself. So I just creased it where I needed, you know, to cut it off. But instead of cutting it, I'm just going to wet it down with a little bit of water with my fingertips. And I'm just going to gently tear it. And this way I'll get, to me, a little bit of a cleaner edge. So once I get that edge trimmed off, then I'm just going to go in, make sure it fits in my pan really good. And it does. And the way that I like to decoupage is I like to do a section at a time. I'll lay my piece down, and then I'll just go up under it, hold it, and I'll do half of it. And I'm applying some liquid patina by DIY, and then I'm just going to go over, you know, this section really good with that. And you can also use Mod Podge. Just use whatever kind of medium that you enjoy using when you do decoupage. And now I'm just going to do the other half. And it's that easy. But just make sure to put a liberal amount of your decoupage medium down, and then just secure your decoupage paper back down. Gently rub it. Don't rub it really hard because you can tear your paper. But very gently, I'm taking a brayer, because I love to go over things with a brayer just to make sure I've rolled out any wrinkles and it's laying really flat and it's adhering really good to my base. Now with just a very inexpensive baking sheet, we've got a beautiful piece of decor we can use for fall and the autumn season. Now let's take some little Dollar Tree products and make some really pretty fall decor out of them. I love working with Dollar Tree products because they're so inexpensive, and Dollar Tree really has a great selection of craft supplies now. But these little wooden pumpkins, they come, I think it was 5 to a pack. I'm just going to paint some up. I'm going to paint some white. I'm going to paint some terracotta. And this is, I think, DIY paint, and I think the color of that is faded burlap. But it's more of like a tan khaki color. And I'm just going to go around, put a couple layers on each one of my pumpkins. And then I'm going to use this beautiful stencil set again. Y'all look at all the different designs on this. So I hope y'all will get this one because, like I say, you can use this on so many things. All of these stencils are reusable. You can wash them with, warm water and a little bit of soap after each use. Put them back on the backing and just keep reusing them. But these are perfect for these little wooden pumpkins. And you just want to make sure they stick really well before you go in and apply paint to them. And that way, that will avoid bleeding. Now on this one, I'm going to show you how you can just use a very inexpensive sponge brush. And sometimes if your stencil does not have, a big edge and you're afraid you might bleed off of the edge of the stencil, the sponge brush may be a little bit better control for you. And here's the little scraper, just demonstrating different ways of how you can apply your paint using these mesh stencils. And I thought this one turned out really pretty. I did have a little bit of bleed down at the bottom. My scraper kind of went off my stencil, but I just took a little baby wipe and very carefully, I just wiped that away. Now I just added some twine so I can make some little hangers for these, and you can hang these now on all your little pumpkins and all of your fall decor. Now this project is going to be Dollar Tree inspired, but I got some new transfers and I'm going to have these linked down below. So all you'll have to do is go to my affiliate link and it'll take you out to the website where you can purchase these. But these are some vintage labels. Y'all, you get a ton of these. And what I like about these is the size. A lot of transfers are on the bigger size, but these are small. So these make great pieces for our projects. But I'm just going to take these little Dollar Tree little plates. They're plastic, and I got 4 of them, but I'm going to upcycle 2 of them. But you can use either side of them, and I'm going to show you 2 options. But I chalk painted one white, and then the orange one I'm going to show you in just a minute how I did it. First of all, let's work on the white one first, but I just cut out this really pretty vintage label from my transfer sheet, and I'm going to apply it to the flat. This is the back of the pumpkin, and like I say, I'm just going to show you 2 different options of how you can embellish the bottom of the pumpkin and also the inside. But this one, I'm just going to go over it with this little transfer, and I go over it with that little transparent sheet just to make sure it adhered really well. And now I'm going to show you the orange one. Now I got this spray paint at Walmart. It's by Rust-Oleum, and it's in the color Rustic Orange. Now all I did was I just applied a couple of layers to this pumpkin, and I just spray painted it. Now I didn't mention on the white one, I did go over both of them. After I painted them and the paint dried, I went over both of them with a matte clear sealer. This way when you apply your transfer, it won't pull up your paint. So this one I'm going to use the inside of my pumpkin, just giving you more ideas and inspiration. And you could also set this one out on a table and use this one kind of like as a dish. But I know with Thanksgiving still around the corner, you know, people are still going to decorate with pumpkins, you know, and we still got a good ways with fall to go. So just wanted to keep, you know, throwing a couple of little pumpkin projects out there, because like I say, this is the season for the pumpkins. And I just added a couple of little Rafia ties to each one, and this was such an inexpensive and simple project to do.
Look at the beautiful stars. I wanna take a trip to Mars. Nothing can break me. No, nothing can break me. Look at the beautiful stars. I wanna drive a faster car. Lay my troubles to rest. Blow the smoke through my cigarette. City lights looking fine, and I know this is my time now. I'm gonna be myself, or I could be someone else. No one's stopping me now. I'm gonna skip my breaks, I'm gonna make mistakes. I just wanna feel alive. It's just what I do when I'm out, so.
Okay, this is a Pinterest inspired project, and I've wanted to make this for a couple of years now, so I'm going to throw this one in here. It's going to be another pumpkin, but I think for Thanksgiving this would make a great centerpiece for your table. I took 21 or maybe 22 canning jar lids, and these are the smaller ones. You just want to take a long piece of twine, and all you want to do is just put your jar lids on that piece of twine. That's all you got to do. Now my jar lids are kind of, I varied the colors of them. I did silver and gold, but I think the more worn looking, the better. And then you just want to tie it really tight, and you want to tie it in a knot, because what you want to do is, of course, you want to make it look kind of like, you know, we're forming a little slinky, and then you just want it, of course, to be in a pumpkin shape. Now after you get it tied really tight, just go around and form it. Now I took a pumpkin, a real pumpkin, and it had already rotted, and so before we threw it away, I got Ben to cut the big stem off of it. I let it air dry outside and dry really well, and I just stuck that on the top. You can also paint these little, you know, jar, cannon jar lids if you want to, rings I mean. But I just left mine like this, and if you do, you will not damage your, you know, your cannon rings in any way. So if you want to reuse them later, you can. Now let's transform a Dollar Tree item. Now I purchased this over in the fall section at my Dollar Tree this year, and it's just like a little metal envelope, and I'm just going to paint over it with white chalk paint, and I went over it with a couple of layers, and then I'm going to cut the twine and the beads off. Now I'm going to add this is an OD Christmas stamp. I got this last year, and it's on a sheet of a lot of different designs for Christmas, but I love this one. I've kept it out all year because you can't really tell that it's Christmassy. It does have some little angels in it, but I love this one, and I've used this on several projects. Now I just put that at the top, and I'm just kind of going around and designing it and having fun with this little envelope, but there's so many things you can do with it. But I'm going to get one of my clay molds, and I will have this one linked to my Amazon store, but I'm just going to put some really pretty ornate detail on the front of this. Now this was a very intricate type clay mold, so you have to be really careful with it, and I did tear it. But the lovely part of clay molds a lot of times is if they do tear, once you get them down with some glue, you should be able to, you know, transform them back into shape. And that's what I did. I just kind of worked with it here until I got it back into shape where it broke, and just kind of, you know, centered it on the front of the little envelope the best I could. And then I'm just going to set it up, and I'm going to let it dry. Now once the clay mold dries, I'm just going to go over it now with some white chalk paint and just make everything just blend right in. Now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a little lace hanger to it. I added actually some little dried florals, and I actually picked these up at Dollar Tree. And that was all I did to this. And now this looks totally different. You would never know that it was just like, you know, a little fall item. Now this is a piece that we can keep out in our home all year long. Now this project is two of my favorite things, pumpkins and doilies. But y'all, I don't know, I don't have the heart to tear up a doily and cut it up. And a lot of times, you know, if it's stained or it's damaged, that's one thing. But this one, I just know how many hours somebody spent, you know, with a needle sitting there making this. So I'm going to try not to damage the doily in any way. So I just got a Dollar Tree carvable pumpkin. I made sure I carved out the center of it big enough to where I could stuff the doily down in it. And again, I'm not damaging the doily, but I just stuffed it down in that little hole. And if your hole is not tight enough to keep it all down in there, I just added some nautical rope down in there just to give it more of a tighter fit. And I added a really pretty bow to it. And also I added a real dried pumpkin stem. So that is another thing. This year when your pumpkins go bad, don't throw away the stems. Cut the stems off, let them dry out, and we can have them for projects for next year. Another item that I found at my Dollar Tree was this cute little tote bag. Now this is a tote, and it's got some writing on one side, but the other side is blank. So that's perfect. We're going to turn this into some really pretty primitive looking fall decor. First thing I did was I stained it in some leftover coffee. I left it outside on my porch to dry in the sun, and once it dried, look how pretty it is once it is stained. Now I went over it with an iron just a little bit just to get some of the wrinkles out, but I left a lot of them in. And now I'm going to take a new stencil that I got. This is the Pumpkin Company mesh stencil, and a little scraper that I have. And these products, I will leave an affiliate link down below of where you can purchase these. But this little rubber little scraper is just a game changer with the mesh stencils. But I just put this really cute little Pumpkin Company stencil on the front of the bag. Now we've got a great little piece that we can add some fall florals to, and you would never know this came from the Dollar Tree. Now I'm going to show y'all how we can make some really cute little sweater pumpkin candle holders. You can just take various pumpkins that you have that you can carve out the center of them, because we want it to be the size to where we can get a taper candle down in it. Now this is nothing new, but I'm just going to take the sleeve off of a sweater, because when you have a hole that's in the top and the bottom of your pumpkins, a sleeve of a sweater works great, because you can just tuck one end of the sleeve in one end, flip it around, and just tuck that other end down in the other hole. Now I had to just trim it down a little bit, but you just want to tuck it down in there, get it tight, and once you get it the way you want it, you get it smoothed out really good. Now we've got a great little candle holder. Added some little hang tags that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I added some really pretty remote control tapered candles, and I'm going to have these in my Amazon store. But these run on a remote control, and you get 6 to a pack. So these I'm going to enjoy, I know, through the fall and also through the Christmas season.
Now I don't know where you are. I missed you so bad, won't you come back to me? I've got you in my head, you're all that I see. I've lost all my chances.
And y'all know I don't like to throw anything away, and I definitely don't like to waste stuff. So with that same sweater, because I love the color of this sweater, I'm just going to take some more of it. I cut it in a circle, and I covered another little pumpkin that I had. And I just went outside and got a stick from my yard that I thought looked a lot like a pumpkin stem. I'm going to hot glue it on, and then I'm going to show you how we can make some really cute little rosettes. Now I've made videos on how to make these before, and I went more into depth on it, but you just take some ripped, strips of this. In this case I'm using drop cloth, but you can use whatever fabric you have, and you just want to start rolling it around and kind of twisting it as you go. Now you want it to look kind of scrappy and rustic, so if you've got frayed edges, it'll make it look even better. You just hot glue where you need to, but you don't have to glue it a lot. I just kind of wrapped it with my fingers, and like you can see, you kind of twist it, as you go, and you just want to make it look kind of frayed and make it look like a, a rosette type flower, and then just hot glue it. Now you'll go around with as much fabric as you need to make them whatever size you want. You can make them smaller, you can make them larger. I'm just going to, make some. Now, you're going to see a project in a minute where I'm going to use one of those little Dollar Tree pumpkins. Now, this is the burlap off that little Dollar Tree pumpkin. So I don't want to waste it. Don't throw that away. Just cinch it in the center with a piece of twine, and it makes a great little bow, little rustic bow for our pumpkins. So I'm going to go with it. I'm just going to attach it on with a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm going to put one of those little rosettes that I made out of the drop cloth. I'm just going to put that in the center. Now we've got a really cute, inexpensive little embellished pumpkin that we can set out in our fall decor.
I've got you in my head, you're all that I see. I've lost all my chances, I know that I am too late. I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking of you, I'm thinking of you, wondering if you're thinking about me too. Now it's too late, now it's too late, I'm out of time.
Okay, now let's make a really easy and inexpensive piece of wall decor using a rug. Y'all, I saw this beautiful rug at Dollar General, and it was $6. I love the colors in it, and I love the design on it. So I'm just taking a thrifted, or this could have been a frame that I got at a yard sale. It's very rustic, but I just cut down a piece of Dollar Tree foam board, and that's going to be the back, and that's what I'm going to attach my rug to. Now I just went around the foam board. I traced around it where my rug would go, and that way I will know where to place it when I go to put my hot glue on. Now I'm going to attach it with hot glue, and I just attached it to the foam board, and I attached it back to the frame, and it's as easy as that. So when you see inexpensive rugs out like this that are, somewhat kind of thin, make wall decor out of them if you got some, and that's another thing you can be looking for at yard sales and thrift stores is frames. And this rug right here was the perfect size. I didn't have to cut the rug down at all, and it fit perfect. in my frame. So now we got a great piece of fall wall decor. Now I'm going to show you another really easy piece of fall decor that you can use, and this can be used in your home, you know, for any season. But just take a picture, and y'all, I love pictures, so I pick them up anytime I see them at yard sales and thrift stores, and you can always spray paint them. And that one was $3. Now you can fill it with rice, you could do beans, you could also, if you have some Epsom salt, I do not recommend the kind that may have oil in it, because what we're going to do is we're going to pour enough of this rice in this pitcher to where we can add some taper candles down in it, and they run on a remote control, so all we have to do is light them, and you've got a really cute little, you know, candle holder with our pitcher that was really easy to assemble. And now I think this will be great setting out in our decor for fall. Okay, y'all, we are at the end of the video, and I want to remind y'all to make sure to go over and join my other channel, Teresa Greene. A lot of y'all have already went over and subscribed and are watching the videos, but we purchased a waterfront condo, so I opened up a new channel that is just showing y'all how we are going about remodeling it, putting it back together, and a lot of DIYs and home improvement ideas and inspiration is over on that channel. So make sure to subscribe to it, and we'll leave a link to it down in the description box below. But we are making leaps and bounds over there. We've got kitchen cabinets now. We've got the flooring done. Y'all will be amazed at how much progress that we've made. I know I am. Make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and as always, I appreciate y'all for coming over and watching. I hope y'all got lots of inspiration and ideas to start making some things and getting some decor ready for your home for the fall season.